Hi everybody, Elisa here with another Vera Bradley bag of the day. Um, and I feel like she's about to start chewing her bone, so I'll start off with my usual. I'm sorry, I apologize in advance for the dog chewing noises. So today I thought I would again, late to the dance. I'm sure everyone's already shown their Harry Potter stuff, but people probably know Harry Potter came out with their latest, Vera Bradley came out with their latest Harry Potter release, and it's great. It's Forbidden Forest, and the Forbidden Forest Ditsy is the lining, and it's not just used as a lining, it's also on some exterior, items as an exterior. Uh, and so, what are you eating? Oh, God, she eats everything. She's a living vacuum. Um, and so, my first feeling when I saw this pattern and it came out, and I should just say, I'm not a huge Harry Potter person. I do have some familiarity with the stories, not the movie so much. I mean, I have read excerpts, and so I do know some of the characters, and so I'll just talk as much as I can about that, just touch on stuff that I know when it comes to mind, but I can't really go into the stories too much or the characters too much because I feel like I was a little old. Say that out loud. I think I was a little past the target age range when the stories started coming out, unfortunately. Sucks to be old. I know I haven't really gotten into them, but I appreciate them, and I do like the idea of the Forbidden Forest, just as a mechanism, just as sort of a literary vehicle. I think it's interesting because the Forbidden Forest, is not really completely forbidden. It's sort of this dichotomy. I mean, it's for detention, and also there's that class. I'm not going to remember the name of the class. It's a care of like magical creatures class or something. So there is access. There is crossover. It's not so forbidden. So I like that idea of what's really forbidden. And what's interesting about it as a literary kind of conceit is that it's a way to reveal things about the character. Like when action is happening in the Forbidden Forest, in that setting, things are revealed about characters that you might not know yet or typically see. Aspects of their personality that maybe you're seeing other characters are seeing that they don't usually see, even about themselves. You show a different side of yourself or a character is revealed to the other characters, but it's also revealed to that character in a way, which is interesting because we're all kind of like wearing masks, all the time. I mean, even when we don't really realize it. I mean, we're wearing masks all the time with other people, but even with ourselves, sometimes we're wearing masks. We're not always completely honest with ourselves, or not even aware that we are not being honest with ourselves all the time. So these are all kind of interesting themes and concepts. And so that's why the Forbidden Forest is kind of interesting to me. Not just for its, the playfulness of the creatures in it and the interesting imagination involved there. So, I guess I will start with the, please puppies, don't, Rosie, please stop biting on her. She's not your chew toy. Oh my God. This is exactly what used to happen with Peaches and Duke. I had Duke first, and then soon after we got Peaches, and she was a puppy, and she fell in love with him, as did everybody. And he was so tolerant. He wanted to be an only dog, but he was so tolerant of her, and she used to chew on him and try to play with him, and he couldn't stand it. And it's now she's getting her comeuppance, Peaches, because it's the same thing with Rosie. Rosie's now all puppied up and trying to play with her and chew on her legs and chew on her face. Just what she used to do with Duke. and she has to tolerate it now, and she is good about tolerating it. I will give her that. She is good about it. Anyway, so I did none of this stuff. I didn't pick out any of this stuff in person. I had to order it all because I'm so swamped with work that I haven't been able to get to a signature store. And so, I had no control over pattern placement. And very often, when I order stuff, I'll order more than one of items just to see if I can, pick a better pattern placement, increase my chances for getting pattern placement that I like because it's so important to me. But I didn't do that this time. Again, probably because I felt like, well, I'm not a crazy Harry Potter person, and so if I need to return stuff, so be it. If I don't have something, so be it. It sells out, so be it. So as soon as I started ordering, I started praying to the Vera gods, especially with the zip ID, that I would get the Hedwig, the owl, sort of in flight. Almost looks like it's about to land. And so I was so pleased to get this. I just feel like I couldn't have asked for better pattern placement on this ID, zip ID. And you get the bursting mushrooms there. That's a nice touch. I feel like there's probably, because I'm not, haven't read the stories completely, much. There's probably more stuff going on, so this has flora and fauna. But as far as the flora, I feel like there's probably more stuff going on with the flora in this pattern that I'm not aware of, like references to the story, the books that I'm probably missing, which is unfortunate, but it's okay. Maybe someday I'll read. And so this is, like I said, this is the Ditsy, and through the window. I can't remember if I showed that through the window. Very nice section through the window too. So there is a zip ID that is just sort of, I think it's velvet, and it has the applique of this owl figure on the back. That was tempting too, but I resisted. It's a miracle. There's also that a clamshell cosmetic with that same owl as an applique. That was tempting because I do like that clamshell cosmetic, and I use them. I use them for my adapter cord for when I'm charging my laptop. It's that big clunky square thing, and it fits well in the clamshell cosmetic because the base is wider on that. And so I just put it out on my dresser because I don't want to scratch the wood with my cords and plugs and stuff. And I'll just, when I'm not using that adapter for charging, I'll just stick it in there. And if you leave the zipper open on the clamshell cosmetic, it has a tendency over time to sort of splay open a little bit. And so it's easy to access, reach in and just grab something. So I really like that item, and I have a bunch of them. So I also got the cord organizer, and so I did get the bag, and of course I'll show the bag, more thoroughly. But when I first saw this pattern, I'm a crazy critter person. So if I knew absolutely nothing about this, and I didn't even know this was a collaboration with Harry Potter, I would be all over it because of the animals in it, and especially the dogs. I saw, oh, there are dogs in here. I must get the dogs. And so I did get dogs. I'm really pleased with my pattern placement, but I got Fang, but he's on the back. He's in a good spot in the back, but he's on the back. And so when I ordered, that's a separate order from the bag was a separate order from my cord organizer and my zip ID. And so, after I got the bag, which came first, I was saying, okay, well, maybe on the cord organizer I'll get a good Fang. And I did. I feel really lucky. And since they've moved to the recycled cotton, and they've sort of changed their styling a little bit on some of the items, there's no tag on this now. And so there's no official front and back, which is important. I'll get to why that's important for me here. But there's Fang. And Norberta. I was hoping when I first saw this figure, that it was a moon calf, but it's not. Bummer. Then you get the owls in this pattern, but they are spaced farther apart. I don't know if I said that. They're spaced farther apart, but there are, a number of them, different ones. And so on the back here now, because one of the creatures is the spider, is the Aragog. I'm not sure people I know what I'm talking about, if I didn't get that right. you know, it all, for me, it just becomes about avoiding the spider. I mean, there are certain insects, I have a list of insects that are okay to have on my bags, and spiders, especially giant spiders, are not on that list. You know, it's especially frustrating. Yes, I know. As far as the story, I get it. People are saying that. Okay, you know, I don't care. I don't need spiders on my bag. And given the opportunity, you know, to have unicorns in a pattern, they went with giant spiders. I'd like to have been in that meeting. The meeting where somebody said, oh, okay, no, let's not forget about unicorns. Let's go with spiders. I mean, who's the genius? Who's the guy who said that? Who made that decision? Great. Yeah, don't need that. I'm going to pretend that's not there. And so if this had a label, like they used to have the pleather label on stuff, and if they had slapped a pleather label on here and it had been here, that thing, I would have ripped that sucker right off. This is the front of my cord organizer and always will be. And that is my story. So I have the rat here. God, what's the name of the rat? Scabbers? I want to say Scabbers. I'm not sure if that's right. And I know it's Peter something or other. I can't even remember the character name. I know. Very cute with a rat there. You know what's nice about, and I feel like Vera does this consistently, which is why the spider is so icky. I think they do this consistently well with their critters and patterns, is they give you just enough, even when they are rendered very loosely, with just suggestions of line work and suggestions of form with using color. They do it well. They provide just enough detail and color, certain color shifts, to convey that animal well. And that's what they've done here. You can see the pink feet and the pink ears, you know. So real nice, real nice. And the whiskers even, you can see. So very pleased with this. And, you know, they've done a good job capturing the feel of the light. Like moonlight and twilight. This on the tree trunk. That use of the yellow is key. That really, okay. I don't know who stole toys from what. I don't need, hey, snap out of it, guys. I don't need that. Peaches, I hear you. I don't need you being all Cujo-like. Gosh. They're fighting over one toy. There's two bones out there somewhere. But they're fighting over one, and Peaches always wins because she's big. Anyway, so back to the moonlight. You know, they've done a really good job here of capturing the light and how moonlight looks, giving you that feel of how moonlight looks, hitting a tree or hitting objects at night, you know, when there's no other light source. Yet the pattern is still visible, but they really, with those bits of yellow, that's what they've done. They've captured that moonlight hitting bark, you know, hitting a tree. And on this tree too, they've done that yellow. And the yellow, even though the yellow is soft, the colors are soft here. You know, there's color theory going on and why it works. So you've got, this really is easier to see in the throw, which I can put up. I'll talk about it when I get to the throw in a minute. I just wanted to say this is a cord organizer is great. Just love it. I've talked about it in a number of videos now. Love it. Have a fondness for them. They're good for all occasions, as I always say. And use it for my charger cords when I'm traveling, and then I usually travel with another one just for my iPad mini. But I could see, you know, using them for non-tech related stuff easily. Just very handy, I think very versatile. Then I did get this throw, which is the Ditsy pattern. I don't like the other pattern, the regular throw. Oh God, feels like there's dog slobber on here. Serves me right for just plunking it down on the floor. I don't like the regular throw. I think it looks very like under-designed, like almost not designed at all. It just looks like they pulled, you know, a couple random elements from the main pattern and plunked them down, just plunked them down. No design there at all. This is more interesting to me, and of course, if you like owls, there's just owls all over it. It's the Ditsy pattern, just all over. And so here you can really get a look at that sort of that stardust kind of sky that I do feel like looks very wintry. And you can see that there's more than one tone, more than one shade there of purple. It's got that light lavender, and then that sort of more medium color, and the light blue in the leaves, and then the darker background. And the background, this purple is a nice purple. I mean, I know there are a lot of ladies who they really like purple, and they're always asking for more purple patterns, and so this should be right up their alley. I'm not a huge purple person, but I like this purple, the background color I'm talking about now. It's mellow. It's not too grape juicy. It's not too like Barney-esque for me. And there's enough other stuff. The pattern is full enough, sort of busy enough, that there's enough going on to break up the purple. So it's not just huge portions of purple, or I really feel like, it's Barney. It screams Barney to me. This doesn't. I like it. I think it's very nice. It's like a midnight purple. I don't even know if that's a term, but like, it's a deep nighttime purple. And here, even in the leaves, you can see these color relationships. This is a good thing to hold up. So you see that you've got this range. You've got that light, the pale blue, and the pale moving to the pale lavender, and then the more medium purple, and then the darker purple, the background. And those are all colors that are, sort of analogous, contiguous on the color wheel, near each other, if not next to each other, even on the color wheel. And so they're pleasing together. And then you have the use of yellow, which you can see here very nicely in the eyes and the feet too, which is great, of these owls. And yellow and purple are complementary colors, meaning they fall opposite each other on the color wheel. And so complementary colors enhance each other when they're used together, and that's why when you use those kinds of color combos, the colors will pop. So you've got all this purple and then the little touches of yellow pop well, even though they're subtle, even though it's a soft yellow. It's readable because they're complementary colors. So they enhance each other and they make each other more vibrant. There you can see the feet too, that are yellow, not just the eyes. And here, yellow feet also. And the mushrooms again. The bursting mushrooms. Okay, so the throw. And this is the Sherpa backing. This is a Cozy Life throw in the Ditsy pattern. I do like these. At first I kind of hesitated with these Cozy Life throws because the throw texture is so nice. The silky texture is nice against your skin. And so when you have this backing, you kind of lose that. But these are great in winter and very warm, and so I've really come around to them. I do like them, and I tend to like, oftentimes, the pattern is different on them and sort of a bit more Ditsy-like, and I prefer that. They're sometimes even denser. The pattern is just different, organized differently, and I do like them visually sometimes better than the main throws. So that's that. I'm probably going to have to wash that just because it's picked up all the dog hair from the floor. Okay, so now to the tote, and I did want to mention this too. When I first saw this pattern, because of the background with that sort of starry sky kind of background, I immediately thought of this, Holiday Owls, which I don't remember the year in this. Maybe it's on the pattern archive on the website. I know sometimes there are patterns missing from that, but it might be in there. Just because of that background. Again, it's got this sort of, some of these look like flowers, but some of them kind of look like, sort of stars, like a starry night sky, plus the owls. So I know that they're not, exactly the same, but there is this, there's this owl here. You've got the owl flying. And so it just kind of made me think of that immediately. And so when I got the tote, I went to my closet and found this. which was an effort. Should see my closet. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. That kind of, I wondered if they were sort of it was in somebody's subconscious that they remembered this pattern. Yeah. So you can see the difference in the color. Navy is really purple. So I just thought I'd show that. This is the Bright Tote, which they don't seem to be making anymore. I wish they would release this every now and then. Would be great. I have videos on the Bright Tote. Okay, so got the Vera Tote, of course. Very pleased with the pattern placement because I was thinking dogs need the dogs. So I did get the dogs, and Fang is here. Fang is interesting, you know, just for, you know, because they say, oh, he's a boarhound. And a boarhound, you know, is sort of a Great Dane. I mean, a boarhound was a Great Dane. I think the original breed name may have been a German boarhound or something. There was definitely the word German was part of the breed name, and I do think it was a German boarhound. I'm not 100% sure. I think there may have been a couple of names for the breed. But it was, at some point, may have been like in the 18th century maybe, you know, 1700s going into the 1800s. European countries and England, the breed was being introduced and moving around, you know, migrating and to other countries, and countries politically, I guess, were having trouble with Germany, and they didn't like the idea of the breed name having the word German in it, and so they sort of started to migrate over to this Great Dane as the name for this breed. But that is, I think, going back, that's the boarhound is the Great Dane, and so this is not a Great Dane. I mean, and I think is the dog in the movie. This is how they've interpreted the dog for the movie, and that's a Neapolitan Mastiff, which is a great dog. Love the Neapolitan Mastiff. Also a huge, large breed, you know, large breed dog like the Great Dane, comparable in size to the Great Dane, and sort of probably personality too. Very sweet, protective of the family, but not thought of as super aggressive, which is kind of interesting given the name of the character, right, Fang, whereas you got, what was it, Fluffy, I think, was the three-headed dog in the story, and he's more, that creature is more aggressive, but yet has this sort of frou-frou name, so that's kind of interesting. So he, you know, is a Neapolitan Mastiff there, with that tongue. But, you know, a boarhound, whatever, this is not a Great Dane. People who know dogs know that. But great, serves a purpose. And so I was pleased to get him. Also, we have the, this is Beak, the Hippogriff. She must have, I mean, I'm assuming she was, the author was influenced by the Griffon. I mean, that's sort of a mythical creature that already was in existence. And I think that, you know, so this is a combination of like a giant eagle, the sort of at the front half of the creature, and then a horse on the back. I think the griffin is the eagle in the front and the lion in the back, I think. And so that might be where she's, even with the hippogriff, even with the name, she may have, you know, that's where the influence might have been. I wasn't crazy about this rendering here when I first saw it. It's growing on me. I do think it is a little awkward. I think these sort of limbs are a little awkward. But what really came to mind when I first saw the head there was I thought of the eagle in the Muppets. Isn't the newscaster Muppet was the eagle? I think. Anyway, but it's growing on me, and I could see it is a little bit bigger, and so if you were to get a part of the pattern that a bigger, you know, maybe your bag had like one here and one here, however it might fall in the pattern. If it's balanced, it would need to be balanced because it would pull your eye. It's like a big white area. It would kind of pull your eye around. But I'm glad that he's kind of not here. He's cut off here by the strap. I'm kind of glad I avoided him. But it's nice to have him a little bit in the back. And so here I've got the toad. Trevor, right? This Trevor the toad. Again, that's a good look right there at the tree with the yellow, the moonlight. Really well done. And the mushrooms. Now, the spider is sort of under the... Hi, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, let me finish and then we'll go out. The spider falls a little bit under the sort of, castle imagery. And, again, good job render. I'm not so attached to the castle, like as far as needing it in a pattern. I feel like it's actually a little, it kind of jumps out. It's a little incongruous for me because this whole pattern is, okay, she's chewing on her bone and hitting my husband's metal workout bench. Hence the clanging noises now. Let me see if I can get that away from her. Rose. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, I think that this whole pattern is really more organic to me. Feels like it's just filled with nature. And it's sort of odd to have these, man-made kind of architectural structures just sort of plunked in there, sort of floating in space. So for me, I'm not crazy about them visually, which is odd because, when in the Disney patterns, whenever they make use of the Disney castle, I like it. But those have a different feel. So I was sort of trying to avoid the castle, and I'm glad I got a little bit of it, but it's minimized. But what's really great is where it's placed, because sort of a little bit under the castle is the spider. And so here it's, wrapped around onto the bottom where it should be. Never to be seen. And here, sort of cut off there. However, I did get him a little bit on this strip here. When I saw that, I was looking around the body of the bag, and I was like, oh, phew, no spiders. I really lucked out. And then I was like, but it's cut off enough, and the face isn't there, so I feel like I can sort of pretend it's not there. And I said, okay, I could deal with it. Just suck it off. Deal with it. It's on the back, so you can see where it falls in relation. The structure is cut off there by my strap, but you can see it. That's how it relates space-wise, and it is there. Really, who? Like I said, I want to know who in the meeting was like, unicorns, no. Spiders, yeah. Okay, so you can see the owls sort of more spaced out. So I got the toad there, and there's the Whomping Willow. I don't really care so much for that, just aesthetically. I know, it's in the story, but I'm assuming these trees have some kind of meaning. If anyone's familiar with the story, and these trees are sort of, and this one maybe sort of mentioned in the story, I'd love to hear about it, because odds are I'm never going to read these all the way through. Okay, and God, crazy dogs. Rosie, please stop chewing on her. Nobody likes that except you. Okay, and so even on the castle, if I didn't mention it, you can see the way the moonlight is kind of hitting it. Really does read as a structure in moonlight, and then you've got the lights sort of. Okay, guys, you have got to stop. You're making too much noise. And then you've got the lights, so it definitely reads as like a building at night with lights on, illuminating, the windows. Very nice feel. Mushrooms again everywhere. Mushrooms. So then the other, interesting character that's in here, or is it Thestral, I want to say. I'm not sure if I'm remembering that right. Thestral. Which, is, kind of kind of like a winged horse, but very skeletal. No, like fleshing it out, just like skin over bones, and very reptilian-looking face and wings like a bat, very reptilian. And I think is an interesting, again, not just for its character, but what it's sort of how it can be used to sort of represent things, symbolize things. So this kind of creature in the story is supposed to be visible only to characters who have witnessed death. So they've witnessed someone dying, they've experienced death, and then you can see this creature. However, it's not across the board. You see someone die, you see this creature. You have to understand what you're seeing. You have to accept death. You have to really process it. You have to absorb it as a concept, as a reality of life. And then you can see this creature. Because, if you just witness somebody dying, but you don't process it, you won't see this creature. And so that's interesting. That's like losing our innocence, right? Shedding our innocence, and there's a trade-off. Yes, when we have children and we try to shield them from the concept of death for as long as we can before we explain it to them, and they're innocent. We want to keep them innocent and for as long as we can. And then you become an adult, you know about death, and it's like, you think differently when you're a child. As a child, I thought as a child, and when I was an adult, I put away childish things, and you think differently. But it's not all negative, right? I mean, there's a payoff when you open your eyes and understand things as they really are. And that's sort of shown, that concept is in the story, right? And that these creatures are helpful at some point. They are helpful in certain parts of the story. And so as an adult, it's a trade-off. Yeah, you know about death, you know about things. Sorrows and whatever, but there are also positive things that come from that knowledge and come from being an adult. And so that's kind of interesting. That's why that type of a character is interesting. I mean, that's just my take on it. I don't know what she was really thinking, but it's interesting, and this is the figure. And I think it's nicely rendered, and also it's nice that it doesn't jump out. You see, that's in keeping with the story. That's how the character exists in the story. So that's nice, that you have to look for it. And similarly with the Grimm. Now I was thinking, I hope I get a Grimm. I hope I get the Grimms. And then of course I was thinking, well, what's also kind of fun, and I got good ones. But what's also kind of nice about it is, well, is it really a Grimm or is it serious? I mean, I'm sure it's supposed to be serious here, but it is a Grimm. And so, that's kind of neat. And the Grimm is supposed to be like a bad omen for the person. If you see a Grimm, it's a bad omen for you. I think that's the general concept. I just liked it aesthetically because it was like a wolf to me. And so there's one there. And another one up there. And then on the back too, I think I have a little bit of one there, and then of course Fang, and here again with the thestral. I'm glad I didn't get this. I got at least one of these thestrals not cut off. I think there's one on the front, but it's a little cut off by the strap. And so that would have, if I hadn't gotten this one in the back, I wouldn't have gotten one at all. And so I was pleased with that for just the reasons I was talking about, because of how I think about that creature and what it allows the author to convey, a theme, an idea, not for the creature itself. So I appreciate the literature aspect of it. I wasn't I did have a double major in college, art history and literature, so I do have somewhat of a background. I don't do a lot of recreational reading right now because my job is basically reading all day. So it's hard to then get excited about reading, which is a shame. Maybe when I retire someday, although I'll probably have to die at my desk. But everything's so expensive. But maybe at some point I can get back to recreational reading. I mean, I probably would have been more all art all the time, but my mom really was pushing I did it to make my mom happy, the literature part of it. And I do love Shakespeare. So I think that's it. Again, very pretty, very pleased that they did a pretty Harry Potter pattern, a feminine Harry Potter pattern, without being, saccharine. It's not saccharine. Of course, it can't be saccharine. It has a spider in it. Oh, and the inside. I'll just turn this inside out to show the lining. So people get a big shot of the Ditsy, a big picture of it, an overall picture of it. I did want to call out my straps. I feel lucky with my straps. Sometimes, straps. I was just talking about this in my Spooky Cats video, the last video I loaded up just the other day. I feel lucky I got that tree right on the strap there. That's kind of unfortunate, but I do like that. And on the back, I really like my strap on the back. There must be a cat out there or something. She thinks she's tough. Meanwhile, she saw a frog on the street once and jumped like 5 feet in the air. Rosie, nobody is afraid of you. Nobody. It's my life. It's my life. So I got a fang there on the strap. That's a lucky, and an owl with the head still there. So, that's kind of a lucky strip of fabric. Of course, it ends up being upside down over here. I also talked about that in the Spooky Cats video. What are you going to do? That's just how it happens. But I did feel lucky about that. Getting fang on the strap was kind of fun. It's always fun when you feel like you get something good on the strap. That's always nice because it's such a crapshoot. I mean, the odds are so slim, right, that you would get something, no pun intended, slim. Well, it feels pretty good. I mean, the cotton feels okay. I haven't really compared it. Oh, one last thing I did want to mention, which I did notice pretty soon after pulling this tote out of the bag, the shipping bag, was that it's finished slightly different at the top. This for recycled. So this all, now we're talking about just the recycled Vera Totes now, moving away from the piping. We don't have the piping, which is a shame because I do feel like it was helping with structure. So you had that piping on the top edge of the bag, and it was helping the bag stay nice and sort of in a nice smooth oval and didn't kind of buckle a little bit and feel like sort of seem crunchy and angular at the top. And that is really happening on this. This is a sloth pattern hanging around, recent. This is the last tote I ordered, and so you can still get this, it's out now. And it's just kind of it gets like a dented look, the top edge. And if you can see that there's this line of stitching horizontally across the top there. That's about 1/4 of an inch or so from the top edge of the bag. And I just think that looks really bad. I think that looks really amateurish. It really looks like a design student kind of sewed this up or something you would sew at home. And no offense to that. I mean, I used to sew with my mom. Not expert sewers, but she was a good sewer and she liked to sew. I'm more of a knitter. But I had sewn with her. I mean, we made garments, that I wore out of the house. Not just clothing she made for me when I was a kid. You should see my school pictures. I am wearing a lot of handmade clothing. But even, as an older kid in high school and stuff, we sew things together, skirts and things, and it was fun to do. And just this kind of just reminds me of that, like, a hobby sewer. And this is kind of that look, that top edge, especially the spacing between the top edge down to that line of stitching, horizontal top line of stitching. But on this, I noticed right away it looked different. And I was like, why is it different? It's different because the spacing is different. So they have moved that top horizontal line of stitching very close to the very top edge of the bag. And that almost gives you the illusion of piping. It's not piping, but I'm almost feeling like it changes the structure a little bit too. Like something feels stiffer up here around the top edge. Like it might hold its shape a little bit better. I don't know that yet because I haven't used the bag yet, and that usually takes you a little bit of time to see how the bag is going to hold up as it softens a little bit. The fabric gets worn a little bit. But I just think this is a great thing. I don't know whether it's only going to be sort of unique to this Harry Potter release because it was Harry Potter, and so they're kind of like stepping up their game a little bit, and now with the other regular patterns they're going to go back to, you know, this kind of spacing between the top edge and that line of stitching. But I think this is great. I think it looks, just aesthetically, it looks much better, looks more professional, because it's looking more like the version with the piping, which I don't have in front of me. It's way over. I can't, to go get it, it's not worth it. So I like that a lot. You can see what I'm talking about again. Everything else seems to be pretty much the same as far as the sewing. The straps seem the same. They feel a little bit more padded here, but that might just be coincidence. I mean, I feel like some of these pattern releases, just historically, I mean, just sometimes straps feel more cushy than other times. So I don't really know what that's about. So just real quick with the lining, the Ditsy, it's great. I love a pattern that's sort of dense with animals, and this works. This does that for me. And it's nice to have all these sort of white owls dropping out, white on the purple. Just looks very nice. I know owls are a big thing in the story, you know, as conduits, sort of messengers. It's not just the one owl. You can see the tag there. And these ribbon pulls are nice. They're on all these items. Grosgrain ribbon, which is nice. Have that rib texture of the grosgrain. And then they say Harry Potter and Vera Bradley. And it's all the same styling as your normal Vera Tote. There's nothing, I mean, unless they're, I wonder if they do, sometimes I know they do the wand, like slip pocket kind of thing. I don't know if they've done that here. Let's see. Do you see the usual 6 slip pockets? Yeah, it just looks like 6 there. And then the top slip pocket. Ooh, there is. Okay, I'm glad I thought to think about, to look for that. So there's the there's the regular hidden slip pocket there, and then next to it, I hear growling again. Next to it is that wand slip pocket. Let's see how far if I. It's very narrow. I think oh, I feel like there's something in there. Yeah. Ooh. Wand goes here. Oh, I'm glad I pulled that out before sometime in the future I washed it and had this all, you know, all over my fabric in the washing machine. Wonder how far down the pocket goes. Can I use this to sort of, oh, it really does go down far. I can't even feel the bottom of it. I'm afraid to let go of this. To get like a long cooking spoon and see how far it goes. Oh, I dropped it. See how far it goes down in there. Oh, wait, I got it. Okay. Whew. Close call. Okay, so that was it. I hope people found that enjoyable. I hope I didn't, you know, like I said, I'm not a Harry Potter expert, so I hope I haven't misspoken on anything critical, but people probably know more than me. They know if I made a mistake, and I apologize if I did. But anyway, Forbidden Forest, Harry Potter, Vera Bradley collaboration is the Vera Tote. Really pleased with it. Like I said, finally a pretty feminine Harry Potter pattern. Really like it. Good job, Vera Bradley. Very nice. tempting to get more, but I think I can resist. For now, famous last words as I sign off and then go make another order. And so hopefully, I'm hoping to start doing the collection videos, as I mentioned in my fall pattern video. People had been asking me to also do collection videos, I think because lots of people are probably doing them now. And so I'll try to get to that and start doing those. And also hoping, fingers crossed, if you watched my last video, that custom stuff is coming. I mean, when I talked to the woman the other day at customer service, who was really wonderful, she said that she could see they were finishing up. That was the status. They were finishing up and then moving into in-packing, meaning they're getting packed up for shipping. And so that was great. So who knows, exactly when that'll go out, because they do a whole bunch together. That was something I was mentioning in my previous video about how they do stuff in waves, which they actually do call them waves, where they hold a batch until they get, probably, it's like taking a bus somewhere, right? You don't just just have one person, passenger, and you take off. You wait until you sell enough tickets, and then the bus goes. And so it's that kind of thing. They wait and they send a batch over to the custom division to start working on. So I didn't realize that. And that's kind of helpful to know, because you can be a little bit more patient if you understand the process. And so it made me realize, okay, you place an order for a custom bag, and it may not go instantly into production because they're holding it to get a few more custom orders together, and then they send this wave over. So it's a very helpful conversation. So I'm hoping that some custom stuff will start to roll in, and then I can do videos for those, and that should be fun. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and hopefully see you next